Welcome to another story made by Oracle 1. The Puppeteer's House. The rain came hard that afternoon, drumming against the cracked windows of the old Marrow Street Theater. It had sat abandoned for decades, its once grand facade now flaking and crumbling into the shadows of the town that had long since outgrown it. Few dared to approach the building, whispered rumors painting it a place of unease, of lost dreams, and most unsettling of all, the disappearance of those who once dared to trespass at night. But to 10-year-old Lucy, who had recently moved to the town and knew nothing of its sinister history, the theater was simply a mystery waiting to be solved. Lucy was a curious, adventurous child with a heart full of stories and a mind eager for discovery. When the rain forced her indoors that gloomy Saturday, she found herself staring at the theater, its dark silhouette looming over the street like a silent sentinel. That's when she noticed the door, slightly ajar, inviting her in with an irresistible grace. She swallowed her nervousness and stepped inside. The air was heavy with dust and old wood, the soggy scent of mildew and forgotten memories. Shafts of light pierced the gloom, revealing crumbling seats, shattered glass, and a stage long dormant. Yet something else caught Lucy's eye across the proscenium, a small door ajar, leading to backstage. She padded softly toward it, each step stirring motes of dust into the stale air. Backstage was a cavern of shadows and relics. There were boxes filled with ripped costumes, broken props, and tangled ropes. Then, in one corner, her gaze settled on something strange. Rows of marionettes, dangling from rusty hooks, their strings knotted and tangled like cobwebs. There were 6 of them, each exquisitely carved from wood and painted with almost lifelike detail. A lady with long flowing hair and a painted smile. A stout jester frozen mid-grin. A tall man in a tuxedo, a delicate ballerina. A stern-looking old man, and a small boy that resembled her in size. Their glass eyes seemed to glisten even in the dusty stale air. Lucy's fingers itched to touch them. Carefully, she reached out and untangled the strings of the small boy marionette. The moment her fingers brushed his wooden skin, an uncanny chill slithered up her arm. The boy marionette's eyes blinked, or so it seemed, and suddenly a faint whisper echoed inside her mind. "Help us." Lucy masterfully swallowed the spike of fear prickling her spine. Heart-thudding, she studied the marionette. It felt oddly warm in her hands as if it were breathing beneath its varnished surface. She stumbled back, trying to shake off the surreal moment. Maybe it was her imagination, she told herself. But then, as she stepped away, the marionette boy's lips moved. The words were faint but clear, "We remember." The other marionettes began to sway slightly, their strings twitching as if stirred by some invisible puppeteer. Lucy's breath hitched. Could they really be alive? A voice within urged her to stay, to listen. And soon the marionettes began to share their story not in words, but in fragmented visions, and those visions burned into her very soul. They had once been children, puppeteers themselves, the pride of the theater decades ago. Promising young talents with dreams as vibrant as the stage curtains. But something had gone terribly wrong. An envious puppeteer had cursed their troupe to live forever as marionettes, trapped between the realm of the living and the dead, condemned to dance endlessly in the shadows. Night after night, their wooden joints moved without will, their faces frozen in masks of joy and fear, never tasting freedom, never feeling the warmth of flesh and bone again. Lucy's heart pounded as the marionette boy's voice, soft and cracked like old paper, reached out. "If you free us, the curse breaks. But beware the puppeteer still living in the house. He watches, waiting for new souls." Fear and compassion warred inside her. The theater groaned as if in response, the lights flickering like the breath of a restless spirit. The ground beneath her quivered subtly, and the tapestry of shadows grew deeper and more menacing. Determined, Lucy gathered the marionettes into her arms. She needed to break the curse. Guided by a sudden clarity, she searched through the props until she found an ancient, leather-bound book, the Puppeteer's ledger, and leafed through pages yellowed and brittle with time. The handwriting was jagged, the language unfamiliar, but then came a sketch, an amulet with strange runes, the key to release. The theater responded to her discovery. A howl echoed from deep within the rafters as the air grew thick with malevolence. The puppeteer's shadow detached itself from a moth-eaten curtain, a tall figure shrouded in tattered black robes. Eyes like shattered glass glistened beneath the hood, and fingers as slender as spider legs stretched toward Lucy. "No one takes my puppets," the voice hissed, the words curling like smoke. "They belong in my collection forever." Lucy held the marionettes close. They were alive once. They deserved to live again. The shadow lunged, but she dodged with a burst of courage. Her eyes scanned the ancient book. The amulet, she could create it. Frantically, she searched among the scattered props and costume jewelry until she found a broken necklace with mysterious runes matching the sketch. Hands trembling, she fastened the necklace around the marionette boy's neck. The strings around him snapped like brittle glass. One by one, she repeated the act for each marionette. With every broken strain, a gasp, a flicker of warmth, a heartbeat returned. Screams reverberated as the shadowed puppeteer writhed and hissed, losing his power. The once still marionettes shimmered, their wooden limbs melting into flesh and bone, their eyes shining with tears and recognition. They were children again, shaking off decades of curses, their smiles radiant but wary. In that moment, the theater brightened. The curtains lifted, the stage lights flickering to life, and the ghosts of laughter and applause filled the air. Lucy felt every hymn of freedom echo within her soul. The children embraced her, their gratitude silent but infinite. The puppeteer's shadow dissolved into the dust, banished by the power of hope and unfaltering courage. As dawn broke, the theater no longer seemed a haunted relic. It bloomed with the possibility of new beginnings. Lucy walked home, the marionettes transformed into living friends beside her, their laughter threading a melody of light through the morning haze. From that day on, the Marrow Street Theater was never empty. With Lucy and the children returned, its halls brimmed with stories, music, and life. The puppeteer's house had become a home where no soul dared be trapped again. For more stories, like and subscribe.